Welcome to our next episode of
Fandom
Family
Chats.
This is a production of Family Fan Clubs on Facebook. You can find us all over Facebook. You can find us all over social media under Fandom Family Chats. Look us up, get dialed in, get plugged in, and get ready to listen to some crazy people talk crazy stuff.
Hey guys, I'm Maureen.
I'm Jeanette.
I'm Amanda.
And today, as promised, we are giving you part 2 of Teen Wolf. And I gotta tell you guys, the universe did not want us to record this episode for you. We've had problem after problem after problem trying to get this done for you, including the producer's laptop mysteriously stopped working. Don't know why someone dropped it on the stairs as they fell, but they did. So we're gonna finish our part 2 of relationships, Teen Wolf. And we are going to start with the obvious choice here for our part 2.
So my other favorite couple, which is kind of strange because they have the same person in them, Stiles and Malia, because we know I love Stiles and Lydia, but I love Stiles and Malia almost as much as I like Stiles and Lydia, which is kind of crazy.
I kind of feel the same way though.
But I
think it's because that's the relationship we saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. And I was watching a bunch of scenes today just to try to prep, and even though definitely Stiles and Lydia in game always felt like that, but he needed Malia because he needed someone to love him and to show him his worth as far as a relationship goes. And I think she definitely did that. From the first moment, other than her punching him when she first saw him again at Icon House. From that moment on, he was her priority.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I liked him so much, because even though Lydia and him always gravitated towards each other, I never felt like he was number one priority. And I don't know, I would get mad at Lydia because I'm like, why would you not want to be with this guy? He's amazing. And so finally Malia is here and she realizes how amazing he is. And
in every way.
Yeah.
Every way.
Yeah.
Do you want to bring your favorite scene with them?
Yes. Well, my favorite scene is not the one you're thinking. Okay.
Oh,
it's
is
not
that just your favorite dialogue?
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about, because I have two favorite. I thought you were talking about their hookup, because I thought maybe.
No.
That's number. I do enjoy that, and not because I think it's a really sweet scene. As far as hookups go, it's not just some torrid tearing off your clothes,
each other's kind of clothes off. Yeah,
it's a really sweet scene. Even when they have their first kiss, and he says, "Was that your first kiss?" And he's like, "Was it okay?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, how cute could you possibly be?" But I love it. But no, definitely my favorite scene is in the car. When she's ran off when they're in the desert down in Mexico, and he's like, "Don't ever do that again. I thought you were leaving." She's like, "I would never leave without you." My heart melted. That is probably my favorite line in the entire series. No matter what. I think it's just a really sweet. And then it's funny also because she follows up with, looking back at Kira and Lydia and saying, "Them, I would leave." That's what I love about Malia so much, that I don't know. She's just so
because she has no filter.
Yeah.
I think that was good for Stiles.
Yeah.
The scene I just watched right before I got on here, because I just made it to season 6.
Woohoo!
Probably on season 6. When she comes in from the woods and she's just standing there completely naked. They're just all having a conversation. I'm like, why is this a normal thing? You're in the middle of a parking lot. You guys are just having a conversation.
Well, she does that too at Icon House when he runs into her in the shower. She's just like it's not a thing for her at all. She's not worried about and poor Stiles is so uncomfortable trying his best to not look at her. But she's just whatever, but
apparently not anymore, because they don't even notice anymore.
No, they don't. Well, if you think back, there was, I know not to talk about Lydia, but that time they find her naked in the woods too. I always thought that was a really strange, because it's not even just there's all these grown men, these cops, and I'm like, she finally has to say, can somebody please give me like some clothes or a jacket? I'm like, can you all?
I did love Styles in that scene though.
He's trying his best to be the one to get it to her.
he's so enthralled he can't even make it a step before he just falls over.
So funny.
But I think what I like about Styles and Malia is that he is the first person that he doesn't have to pretend to be anything he's not.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be super strong. He doesn't have to be super smart. He doesn't have to be everything all at one time, because Malia wants him, not just likes him, but wants him as he is, because he's good enough as he is. He doesn't have to be anything different. And I think that, they're not endgame for me. I think that relationship was really beneficial for him because of that. Because after that, he got the confidence to just be who he is.
Yeah. I agree.
They were funny together. Like, I love whatever. It always seemed to happen outside by a bus in my memory. But when she would say something, he was like, we're working on that. Or that's improvement.
It's progress. And that's something else that I loved, that I think he was really good for her, because I feel like other people might have been a little embarrassed by like how unfiltered she was. But he just like, no, it's just her. That's okay. And he just accepted her that way. And so I really liked that too.
Yeah. And I think that if they didn't have that relationship, Malia would not have been who we saw in season 6.
No, I definitely agree with that. I mean, honestly, I think their only downfall, here we say she has no filter, and she doesn't have, not to say, and this isn't anything bad, she doesn't have the compassion and the empathy that Styles has, when that's like probably one of his best traits. And I think that's their downfall, because the reason they break up is because she can't understand why he feels guilty over Donovan. And it's true that, this had to happen. He had no other choice. But because he's Styles, he still feels, bad about it. And she just can't understand that. And that's where they were just never going to work. Their core values, I think, were just too different to be
long term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's sad because, otherwise, every time I watch this, and I've seen, like I've told you all, I've seen Teen Wolf more than any of our shows. Like every time we get to like Styles and Malia, I'm like, oh man, I really like them. Maybe I want them to be together. Like I can't help turn my brain off and say, no, I want, when they are together, I want them. And then of course, if they break up, I'm right back on the Lydia train. But
you probably wouldn't be disappointed if the movie comes and they're together. I don't think I would be either.
I think I would be.
I think a lot of fans would be, actually.
I would be, because we've already seen them. We've seen it in the end. That wasn't what they were leading up to as we're season. And you're not there yet. Maybe that could be part of the reason you wouldn't be mad. But where they ended season 6, if it's not Styles and Lydia in that movie, I'm gonna be ticked.
Yeah.
Because they keep giving it to us just barely and then ripping it away.
If they had, there's lots of things, because I wouldn't necessarily be completely upset with it, but the way we've talked about like Scott and Malia, if they had given us any indication that there were still unresolved feelings between Styles and Malia, I would totally be okay if they found their way back to each other. But they kind of almost act like it never happened, other than the one time when they're trying to get him back from the Ghost Riders, and she says something to Peter about, he's like, what is he, and she's like, he's my anchor. And that is the only moment that you really hear her express anything for him after they break up.
But I think for Malia, that means something a little different than it does for Styles, because I think for Malia, it's just, he will always be someone that she fights for and cares for, and it's deep and it's unabiding. And I think it's more now, it's like a familial love. I think it's transitioned from that romantic to familial. And we don't even know if maybe she always kind of felt that, but she just didn't understand that that's what she felt for him. Maybe. Because the other issue I have with him too is, to kind of piggyback off what you were saying, is that on top of her not understanding why he was guilty over Donovan, Styles genuinely does not want anybody to die. He genuinely cares for all the people around him. Whereas Malia's like, Styles, let's go. Let's just leave him. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And I think he needs someone to partner with him in that. And I think that being with someone who is so turned off from that part of their personality, and it's not her fault.
Yeah.
But it's just what it is. I think that he needs someone who can help him be, because that's, like you said, that's one of his best qualities. And so he needs someone who can help him continue to tap into that, because Styles, I don't think is complete unless he's saving people.
I agree with that too.
He's the savior. I mean, we see all these people who have supernatural abilities, but Styles is in every single scene saving the day without anything.
Yeah.
Except for his wits.
And his baseball bat.
Which I've never seen him use.
He tried it that one time on the Alpha Twins and it just shattered.
Oh, that's right.
remember that.
I just saw that episode, which is why that's fresh in my mind. But no, and I know I've seen a lot of fans say this, and I agree. Because actually the fan base, from what I've read, is pretty split on whether they're like Malia or Lydia. They're both really good. There was not really much closure for Styles and Malia. True. And that always bugged me. It was like I remember watching it the first time, and when they have that argument in the car and he gets out, I really didn't think that was it. I thought there was going to be more conversation. Like, I knew they would probably end up splitting, but I'm like, that was the breakup. Like, that was not really anything. That was just an argument.
Yeah.
It just seemed really, it fell flat, and there was no closure there. But
that makes sense. And I think though that they kind of have to have it that way, because I think for Malia, if they were to break up and like make a bigger scene and make it, then that would end their friendship too.
Yeah.
That had to have been tricky
to
try to keep that friendship going, and then
Mm-hmm.
her being with Scott. The whole thing's weird to me.
But they never even really like talk about that's awkward. Like, it's not discussed, which is just, I don't know. I would almost rather them had a conversation about it. Like, when you had, which we'll talk about them a little bit later, when you had Isaac moving on sort of with Allison, there was at least a little discussion with Scott about that, which made sense.
Yeah.
But there was none. And it just seemed weird. Because I mean, to me, like, Malia is, I mean, the same as Allison is for Scott. I mean, this is Styles' first. I mean, I know they never say "I love you," and maybe they weren't ever in love with each other. But I think they were really close, if not. I mean, like, it was. I don't know. They were
whether or not they were in love. There was a lot of love there. It was a really loving relationship.
They loved each other.
And
I don't know
if they were
in love with each other, but they loved each other.
Yeah. But there's one other scene that I really love with them, and it's well, there's two really. I don't know. Maybe do you all have a favorite scene before I like start spouting off all of mine?
I just like all the scenes where he's like, "We're working on it." It's any scene where Malia says something insane and Styles just looks at her, looks around everyone else, and he's almost like proud. It's progress.
My favorite's whenever the sheriff goes into that room and he just cuffs all the chains.
Yeah.
Don't want to know.
Nope.
He's like, oh my god.
And Malia just completely clueless.
Yeah, because poor Styles is just like, it's not what it looks like, and she's like, what? Like, she has no idea. I love that about her. Most of mine are like their sweet scenes, like the one where she's got her book and it's all highlighted like in all these different colors, and
every single sentence.
I like that parallel because, and he notices it too when he looks at his boards. I mean, they're even using the same colors to represent the same things, and I'm like, that's kind of, I don't know, I thought that was a cool parallel to show just how in sync they are. And then they do another parallel with the line about "I'd never leave you behind," or "I'd never leave without you." And then later on when they're in that vault, because, you know, I don't know, they're being poisoned or whatever by, you know, the people in the Deadpool, whoever's out.
Oh, yeah. When they're down in the basement and they're locked in there.
Yeah. And Styles gets ready to leave, and, you know, she's like, "You're coming back." And he says, "I'd never leave you behind." And I love the parallels because it's not the exact same line, but it means the same thing.
Yeah. And that scene was really heartbreaking too, because you could tell by the look on his face and the way he said it that he really didn't know if he was going to enter physically back in that building, but he was going to be with her no matter what. Whether he lived or died, he would be there for it. And it was like,
yeah, just so cute. And then the night when they're sleeping, that's a funny scene too. And he's like, "I have to sleep in the middle of the bed," and they go through all those different positions. And then he finally ends up the little spoon, which I think is just it fits, and it's just so funny. And
Yeah.
like their relationship was more fun than him and Lydia. And so I don't know.
Well, it's
I
because
like-
him and Lydia were never given the ability to have a relationship. It was
That's the
all just
problem.
trauma.
Yeah.
But you knew that there was a deep connection there that they were never allowed to look at and explore.
Yeah. But somehow I don't see them like having as much fun as Styles and Malia had together.
No, because that's what happens when you get two really empathetic people.
Yeah.
Is
So-
they just care about everybody else more than anything else.
Yeah. I really go back and forth on it's once I start talking about them, I'm like, maybe I ship them. I don't know.
You like both. You're happy with both.
I
It
know,
happens.
I know. But yeah, like I mentioned, I think Malia is equal to, what
I'd agree
Scott
with
and
that.
Allison have. What did you all think about that relationship?
I was agreeing with you because I thought you were going to say the same as Styles and Lydia, but I do not like Scott and Allison. Go ahead. Sorry, I just need to say that. I'm changing my
Oh.
opinion.
I'll talk Scott and Allison.
I think they're similar.
Somebody
just
who
in
likes
the-
them has to.
just in the fact that like that was their first love. It's
Yeah.
not who I would say is their end game.
That's true.
Just like I wouldn't say that for Scott and Allison either,
Yes.
even if she hadn't died. So it's the same.
Scott and Allison, even in that like season 5 finale,
Mhm.
they still brought the Allison thing back.
Mm.
And when
Mhm.
Styles is like, she saved him again.
Yeah.
Like that one last time she saved him. It was just such a, I know their relationship wasn't perfect. And I like Scott with like Kira
Mhm.
more than I like Scott with
For
Allison.
sure.
But I liked Scott and Allison. I like while they were together.
Yeah.
Once they broke up, I was kind of over it.
Me too.
Like, but I enjoyed them together. I feel like they pushed each other, they challenged each other,
Mhm.
and I think they were both like kind of enamored with each other.
Yeah.
It was a forbidden first young love.
It was. I mean, and as a first love, I thought they were really cute together. I mean, I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I prefer them both with other people, but I think they were really cute together.
I liked them at first. The
Mhm.
first season, I really liked them together. I really, really did.
Yeah.
It was when Allison changed that I was like, get out of here. I hope you die.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sounded really mean. I don't want, I like Crystal Reed a lot. So don't take it that way. But I was kind of hoping at that point for Allison's character to be killed off because I could not stand her when she changed. Couldn't stand any
No.
of her character.
I didn't
I
see it
thought that way
coming.
too, but when she actually was killed off, I had finally grown to love her again.
I wouldn't say
It
love
kind of
for
bugged me because I was like, man, here I finally like you again, and now you're gone.
What made her death sad for me was how her dad felt about her death and
Yeah.
how her friends felt about her death. More what Papa Argent felt about her death. Made me
Yeah.
sad. But
Daddy Argent.
Daddy Argent.
That's what I prefer to call him.
That's what I call him.
I am uncomfortable.
If
I
anybody,
also call the sheriff Daddy Stilinski. So
and him, I call him Papa Stilinski because I don't think about him sexually.
Oh my gosh. What have I walked into? Allison and
anyone-
Scott.
If anyone deserves to be called Daddy, it is Chris Argent. And
it
you
is
know.
Argent. Yes. We've killed Marine.
I don't know why she expects anything different.
Don't know why either. But I'm just desperately trying to find a way back into Scott and Allison.
We are talking Scott and Allison.
Yeah.
Daddy Argent is
Stop it.
Allison's dad.
He's gonna be Daddy Argent forever.
So I did like Scott and Allison at first.
Yeah.
Yes.
I liked how even after, like, first of all, I like when he found out that her dad was a werewolf hunter. And he was trying to explain it to Styles.
Yes.
I love that. That was amazing. But then I like that she stood by his side. And I like
Mhm.
that she fought for him but that was when she was fighting for it because it was right. And she was
Yeah.
standing for him because it's the right thing. He's not a bad guy. He's a werewolf, but it doesn't mean that he's bad. And I like that she forced the people around her to see past that line and stay with Scott because Scott is a good guy. For
Mhm.
some reason, he's the only
Oh.
alpha who never really dominates in a fight, but he's a good guy.
Mhm.
And Allison saw that and fought for it. It was just once her mom died and she went off the
Until
deep end, she never ever came back from that, in my opinion. And
No.
it was at that point I was like, just let him go because you're killing him. You're
Yeah.
killing this guy who would do anything for you. You're just killing him.
Yeah.
Yeah. After her mom died on the show, it was to me a downhill
Yeah.
for Allison.
Everything
think
about her
she
annoyed
came-
me then.
She came back though. I think in season
Not all the
3.
way.
For me, in season 3, she found her way back into me liking her.
Almost all the way.
Mhm.
But not to me, it wasn't ever like the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually liked her better though when she got a little badass in season 3. I mean, like season 3 Allison's probably my favorite. Season 2 Allison's like the worst, but
Yeah.
like
I like
know,
season
season
1,
three.
Allison.
Yeah.
Season 1 Allison is my favorite because she was still fighting. She was actually fighting harder than Scott was. She was really hardcore at what she was doing. She was good at what she was doing. She was good at how she fought. She fought for people. And then season 3 Allison, it just kind of felt like, I'm only going to fight for the people that I'm close to, is what it felt like.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Definitely. I could
Which just
definitely see that.
at that point, it was a huge mismatch. And of course, they weren't together then. But that's the only reason I don't like Scott and Allison, honestly, is beyond season 1. It was just, it didn't work. It was dysfunctional and it was really painful to watch almost.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Scott hung on to her for a long time. Long time.
I don't think he'll ever like completely move on. I think that was his first love.
Well,
I think Kira kind of helped him out there
yeah.
because
I think
Kira
that
was
Even after Kira left, he still went back to that bookshelf and was looking at Allison's name.
Yeah. I think there'll always be something because that was his first love. I mean, I
Mhm.
definitely think. And she died so tragically. I mean, so I
I think
think
that's more what it is.
In
the
his
first
arms.
love.
Mhm.
Because I don't think they were actually in love. I think that he was just, I think it was if they would have continued as they were in season 1, I think it would have gotten to there. But I think
Yeah.
Kira is the first person he actually loved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that. I think it was young love
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Allison. It was like that puppy dog teenage first,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but it wasn't like true love.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was more of a infatuation with
Yeah.
each other.
I'll agree
That's a
with
good
that.
word.
Yeah. Unlike other relationship Allison had, which I liked better, to be
Me too.
honest.
I did like
That
that one
was-
better too.
Honestly, Allison's death, taking away Isaac, was probably my biggest regret.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see
Wholeheartedly agree
where
with that.
they went.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had so much potential. I mean, I was rewatching season 3 today and yesterday. Oh my gosh, just the chemistry that those two actors have
Yeah.
Mhm.
is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, like I would get so excited, like every time they had a scene together, like, oh my gosh, are they gonna kiss? Is this gonna happen? And then, of course, it like rarely did. I mean, what did they kiss like one time, maybe twice? Like, I mean, I feel like it was.
I mean, twice if you count the night.
Yes, that's true. And then
Yeah.
the one that she right before he went in to speak to that guy about. I don't even remember what he was going in there, but he was dressed up in the suit, and she had to like
Yeah.
pump him
Oh,
up.
he was pretending to be someone else,
Yeah.
not a werewolf.
But when they almost, or I guess they did kiss one other time, just briefly, or they almost did. I guess they almost did, and that's when she was like, "No, this isn't going to happen. You can't try to kiss me." And I love this scene because then he stands up and he's like, "I won't try to kiss you." And of course, he takes off his shirt. She takes off hers, and then Daddy Argent walks in, and that cracked me up because I mean, the look on poor Isaac's face was like, "Oh my god." And when you can hear like Chris yelling, like, "Another werewolf," just like so upset. Which is cute though, because I mean, he ends up, loving Isaac and taking
Yeah.
care of him. So I mean, that's cute.
That was so sweet.
Mhm.
I do love Isaac in general though. So I
Yes,
think
me
I
too.
would like almost anyone who treated him well
Absolutely.
because that's what he deserves.
Oh, more than anyone in the world, I think. So yeah,
But he left for the originals, right? Didn't we look that up?
yeah. So I guess I can't be too mad if I
Can't be
got
too
can't
mad
be.
because his role in the originals was
Oh my God, Cole is. Yeah, which
I always
Cole
forget
is
he's
pretty
Cole
awesome.
because Nathaniel is Cole for me.
Well,
So
yeah,
I always
Daniel,
forget that Daniel Sherman
You
played
still need to
him.
watch. I
Daniel
you
Cole.
start.
I haven't
Daniel
watched
is
it. I haven't
Which
watched
Cole?
it since the convention.
Come on. I started you. I made you start. You
Yeah,
were
we've-
supposed to finish
that-
it.
That's Maureen's project. Amanda's is the 100 because I've got
Oh.
hers. So, although you could do that too because Daddy Argent shows up later on.
Can we just call him JR?
No, I'm gonna call him Daddy Argent. That's his new name. Okay,
That's
that's it forever.
He's gonna come to our convention, and that's how he's gonna be introduced.
I will. I mean, if you want me to, the audience will cheer. They will understand. We could really call Peter Daddy Peter too, because
It's true.
that's another
Malia.
one. Mm.
But I think what I really liked about Allison and Isaac to go back to Allison is that he brought so much levity. I mean, seriously, was there any scene with Isaac on there where you didn't laugh? He was just,
No.
and it wasn't
No.
like he was being overtly comedic. He was just like that scene, for instance, when they're all together and Argent is trying to figure out who the teacher is, and he's like, "She's brown, kind of hot." I just
They
stopped
all
and looked at him. He's like,
like-
well,
just an observation.
just an observation. So he just brings so much. And honestly, I think, although I didn't like Allison beyond after her mom died, the reason I started to like her right before she died was because Isaac brought that levity to her, and that's what she was lacking. She was all serious, all dark, all the time. And I think she needed Isaac to balance that out. And that's why I like them together more than I liked her with Scott towards the end of the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, because she was flirty, I think, with Scott, but there was something different in the way that she interacted with Isaac.
I think she needed Isaac.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote down a couple of things that just made me laugh. Like the one where they're at that blacklight party, like two different things. When she's just like, what does she say? She said something about being really frustrated. And he just looks at her and he goes, sexually? And it's just such a cute, like playful banter between the two because, then of course she just smiles at him like, and then something when she's like, so do you want to talk about Scott or do you want to paint my body? And he was like, I want to paint your body. Like, I don't know. They had the cutest banter, I think, of maybe any couple on the show.
I like that part too.
Yeah. I thought they were cute.
They were.
But people I thought it was interesting that Deaton noticed their connection probably before anybody did.
Absolutely.
When they have to go, the look on poor Scott's face when he's like, you go, basically, I mean, as soon as he said, what do you say, like, Styles, you go with, or Lydia, you go with Styles, it was like that moment it all clicked, like, oh, Isaac has to be her tether. And they all realized there's something going on there that we haven't noticed,
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that she was killed right in front of him, right before they were able to do anything, was really, that was what made the death sad. Not just because of her dad and how, I mean, oh my gosh, but JR can play a really good grieving father. Holy cow. When he's outside those gates with those tears and that was hard to watch. But Isaac too was devastated.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted Isaac to stay on the show. It wasn't like we had a void there for a bit when he left. Because Styles is always there. We need and that's why in season 6 it wasn't as good because Styles was missing for a lot of it. But when Isaac left, because he was just goofy.
Yeah.
He was really, really kind-hearted and he was fierce. And he was like that scene where they're in the locker room and it's Styles and Scott and him. And he's like, how have you guys been alive this long? And then he went and got the tickets and then he just passed them. So he's fierce and he's loyal and he's strong, but he's also incredibly goofy and bluntly honest, even when it's an accident. And so it's when he laughed, there was that was a big void in the show, I felt.
Yeah, I think.
And he wasn't even on there the whole time. What did he come in? End of season 1, beginning of season 2?
The very end of season 1, and then he was gone after season 3. So I tell you, I've said this before. I wish him and Malia had overlapped because I'm like, how fun would they have been in scenes together?
That would have been great.
That was a missed opportunity.
Hey, the original is over. Can Daniel come into the movie?
Please.
I mean,
he didn't make it into the final season or the final episode, so he's got to be in the movie.
He was, he might. I don't know. I was
right. He wasn't in the final 2 episodes of this series,
no,
right?
He wasn't. No.
Crystal Reed wasn't either, but she did. So
I know, but anything's possible. I feel like we've had.
I think that would have
No.
happened already if
yeah.
I know
it was a.
people want it. That maybe we'll have. I don't know. I mean,
Her
it would
body
be
is like-
nice to find a way for everybody to kind of. I mean, just since it's like a
Flashbacks,
wrap up
maybe?
a movie, it would be nice. But I don't know how you pull it off.
Maybe JR or Argent has like a flashback of something they did together.
Maybe, yeah, that would be cool. Hold on, Kat. Go away.
Oh yeah, let's move on to another one. Actually, one of my favorite couples. Noreen's gonna talk though.
Liam and Hayden. I actually think that Hayden is a little bit like Allison. I think a little bit. I think that they both have that same sort of serious bent to them. And I think I think Liam starts off, obviously he's not as goofy as Isaac. He's way more intense than Isaac.
Yeah.
But he has that same fierceness that Isaac does. He has that same loyalty that Isaac does. And I think Hayden just kind of brings it out in him. And I think Hayden has the seriousness that Allison did. I think Hayden has the dynamic. And because I think I really, really, honest to God, I think when they brought these people in, I think they're preparing to have the show without Scott and Styles. And I think they're trying to replace the dynamics of those characters. And I think that's what Liam and Hayden were kind of like throwback to Scott and Allison, EOG, Scott and Allison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But what I liked about them was that with Liam, like he took Scott's rules and he went beyond them. Where Scott basically is like, no, we don't kill anybody unless we absolutely, there's literally no other choice. And even then, sometimes no. And Liam took that and didn't allow anyone to break that. And he fought for that to stay intact with everyone. He expected it of everyone. He fought for everyone to have that. And even though he started off as this angry kid, I feel like Hayden kind of tethered him a little bit in the same way that Styles tethered Malia, because Hayden was one who was created as a hybrid.
Yeah.
It was not always a hybrid, but she was a created hybrid. And that was a really, really hard transition for her. She almost died a couple different times. And Liam too almost died a couple different times trying to save her, keep her alive, that sort of thing. So I think that those two really, their devotion to each other came from their devotion to other people. And they just found someone who was like them in that way, but different enough that they could really balance each other out and really help each other. Because I think the things that they went through together with the Dread Doctors was so incredibly hard, and it was so difficult that they needed someone not only who could understand what they were going through, but could be almost like the opposing half to that side, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought it was funny though, like the way they started out, which, I always love that. I always love that in a show when you go from like enemies to like lovers. Like this is just, it's, I don't know, one of those relationship tropes that I always enjoy. Because I mean, she was like angry with him in the beginning, like really angry. And so, I mean, I think, obviously their experience with the Dread Doctors is what brought them together and made them fall in love, I guess.
I don't think Liam realized how mad she was about it. I think he just knew, oh, she doesn't like me. But I think that was almost like an Isaac thing of him, like, but why do you hate me this much?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you be over this by now? Aren't we past this by now?
Yeah. It was just, I don't know. What was it that I'm trying to even remember exactly?
It was from elementary school. That's all I remember. But what's in my head is that scene from Friends where Julia Roberts guest stars and Chandler made her show her underwear. And that's all I'm thinking of is he made her show her underwear. But I don't think that's right. I think that's a Friends thing, not a Teen Wolf thing.
Yeah, it's not that. But it is something like kind of silly, if I remember correctly.
I remember thinking, why are you still mad about that?
Yeah.
Hey man, some people just hold those grudges.
She did. Did she punch him like the first time? Like she punched him, didn't she? Like, goodness gracious, girl.
And then he went to apologize to her, and then he spilled all the drinks that this young teenager was bartending and serving as a waitress with.
Yeah.
My God, there's like no rules
Like,
in this Teen Wolf universe.
And her sister was a deputy, so it's just kind of crazy that
He just knocks over all of her drinks. Doesn't he have to attack someone at the same time?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was why the drinks were knocked over, right? Because he had to go get someone. It was Corey's first dude. Right?
Yeah. I think so.
He was supposed to meet him at that lounge.
Yeah.
And then he
I
was
think so.
transitioning into something weird. But that's I think that's what I like about him. And then with her sister too, who was a deputy, he really helped her keep that relationship intact. Like he kind of fought for her to keep that relationship, which I thought was really noble and really good. And I think Liam is just a noble guy who needs someone who is, because Hayden wasn't as gung-ho into, no, we don't kill anybody, as Liam was. Liam had to kind of teach her that.
Yeah.
And that's how she became almost indoctrinated into the pack. And there's one of the scenes that makes me laugh every time is that it's picture day in season 6. And Styles kept screwing up Malia's picture. And then he's like, I'll go get Liam. And then they pan over and Liam is clearly occupied with Hayden on the bench. He's like, yeah, I'm just going to go alone.
I just like, I've only watched like maybe like the first 5 minutes of season 6.
Wow.
Just when I was waiting on you guys. And just the opening scene of season 6, I loved when the truck breaks down.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're talking about all the dates that they've had. So, sometimes a little bit of time's gone by.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a sweet scene.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much most of the main relationships. We do have some honorable mentions in this episode, but I think that there's basically 9 main relationships. We don't count Scott and Malia as a main because it's so brief and it was so weird. Yeah. Jackson and Ethan, we didn't see enough of for it to be a main, and same with Lydia and Aiden. We didn't see enough of that for it to be a main. So the honorable mentions for this one are actually going to start with one of the twins.
Yeah. Ethan and Danny. I liked Ethan and Danny.
I did too.
For a little bit. I wasn't like they're not one of my favorite couples of the show. But for a little bit, I liked them.
Yeah, they were cute.
They were cute. Yeah. It was cute. It was sweet. I'm glad we moved on, but
yeah. I mean, for me, that was, at least during that time period, the only really redeeming part of the twins. Because I've said this before, I wasn't really a fan of the twins, but I thought Ethan was pretty cute with Danny, and it was obviously he cared about him. Because there were several times he tried to protect him from the different stuff that was going on with the Alpha Pack and stuff. So.
And he was always the softer one of the twins.
Yeah, he definitely was.
And I think Danny's just funny.
I like Danny. I don't know. I'm thinking back to that scene with Styles. It just
that's what was in my head too.
Well, there's 2 of them, but I'm thinking of the one when all the virgins are being sacrificed. And
that's what I'm thinking of in the locker room.
Danny's like, I'll do it. And it's like, really?
I like to cuddle.
I just love it so much.
But I like when they're breaking up and they're sitting on the school steps and Danny's like, I just don't think I can date a werewolf.
Yep.
Like, wait, you do? And Danny's like, this is Beacon Hills.
I loved that. But he just knew the whole time. He just never said anything.
And I think the reason that this is an honorable mention is because, again, we didn't see a lot of this. It was kind of like background noise. But because it ended so naturally and it was a clear ending and it was a closing ending. It was it was a good way to cut it off and be like, all right, we're done with this. Now we're moving on. Same thing with the beginning. It was kind of a very natural flow in to the beginning of the relationship. So I think that's why they're an honorable mention. I do like the next one though is another one that never really happened.
I know. They never
thinking it was going to.
Lydia
I thought it was, but it never did.
Like they never even kissed.
No.
Like
pretty dang close, but no, they didn't.
They came real
but
close.
Also, I think that would have been an inappropriate relationship. Again.
Because there were so many totally appropriate relationships on the show.
Again, going back to the Ezra.
I know, that's what I keep thinking of.
I know.
Well, he's not a teacher, but he's a police officer.
Who we're talking about first.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Well,
Parrish and Lydia.
Jeanette tried to say it, but
it's okay.
We got Parrish too excited.
Parrish and Lydia. That's who we're talking
Parrish
about.
and Lydia.
We should just have kept talking and let the listeners just see if they could guess based on what we say.
Yeah, I'm too dumb to catch up on that. So
but I mean, I don't think they were any more inappropriate than when Peter was trying to come back to life and made out with Lydia,
Lydia.
knowing he's like a grown man, that was totally glossed over. So I'm like, if we could do that, we could have
Yeah.
had one kiss with Parrish.
And I think that like because none of
she
them
was already
seem
18.
yes, and none of them seem like they're 16-year-olds in high school.
I know.
Mostly because none of them are 16-year-olds or in high school. So
Right.
it's hard to separate that out sometimes. But I did have to like there was moments I'm like, oh come on, yes, kiss.
Yeah.
And then they wouldn't. And then I was like, he works for the sheriff's office. He's a deputy. He's a cop. Maybe they shouldn't.
The one moment I really wanted him to is when he was teaching her to fight.
Mhm.
They got all close, his arms all wrapped around her. I mean, he's like, he wasn't shirtless, but I guess he was
He had a
like,
tank top on.
she had her little sports bra. I'm like, I mean, I thought for sure something was about to
Her
go down.
head was right here on his shoulder, and then she turned to look up at him.
I mean, that girl's got some willpower, because
Yes.
I think I would have done it.
And I think part of me is because like her and Styles are endgame. But Styles had Malia in the meantime.
Yeah.
Who did Lydia ever have? She had Jackson, who was a jerk. She had Aiden, who was just there as a filler.
Kind of a jerk too.
Like,
Yeah.
Kind of a jerk.
They did Lydia so dirty through the series. Parrish was
Mhm.
actually a decent human being
Mhm.
who liked her because who she was, not because of anything else. And they were both supernatural things that they really understood where the other was coming from. They genuinely cared about the same things the same way.
Yeah.
I think they should have given her a break and let her play into that.
I think so too. You know, I mean, and just the same as I think I would have been somewhat okay if Styles and Malia ended up together. If we had went down the Lydia and Parrish route at the same time, I could have accepted
Mhm.
Styles and Lydia were just platonic soulmates if you had paired them up with the right people, which I
Yeah.
thought is where we were going. And then it didn't happen.
But that's more likely to happen in the end than Styles and Malia, because we're given
Yeah.
no indication of that. But Parrish and Lydia never ended or began, so
never
there's
began.
never
Mhm.
so there's not really a closure there either.
No. And there was no discussion of even their, I mean, we've talked about how Styles was constantly trying to save and protect Lydia. Parrish did the exact same thing
Mhm.
throughout it too. So
Constantly,
obviously
yeah.
there was feelings there. And maybe it was just her being a high school student that kept them like, but even if you'd had a conversation like that, where he would have
Mhm.
explained
Yeah.
like why he wasn't making a move, like I would have been okay. But it was like, they just wanted to tease us. It made me angry.
They did this. I feel like they used Lydia to do that with us a lot,
Mm-hmm.
like giving her almost everything that we wanted, and like nope.
Yeah, no, just kidding.
And I think we see that with Arjun and Melissa too, because we didn't get a lot of them.
And that was a long time coming.
Yes. See,
Yeah.
I thought she was originally. I was thinking Miss Sheriff Stilinski and Melissa.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. I do like where they went with him because it was his
I do
real
too.
life, but still, even that we only got one day. With Arjun and Melissa, they were constantly helping each other, constantly fighting together, constantly pairing up together to do these big battles. And she was constantly saving him in the hospital because he was
Mhm.
always hurt in the hospital.
Yeah.
But even when they did get together, it was just like an episode and a half. And when they did that time
Yeah.
jump and we saw them in the house together, it was like,
Yeah.
okay, so are you together? Did you wake up there or did you go there? Like what? It was not clear.
Yeah. Nothing in season 6B was clear. This is the
No.
problem. Okay. It was thrown together. That's why I don't like it as much as the others. But my favorite thing, and I feel like I've told you all this
I was hoping you
before.
were going to bring this up.
Yes, I love it because the first time I watched that kiss, the first kiss that Melissa and Chris have, Daddy Argent, sorry, I called him by the wrong
You
name.
called him Chris.
Why?
When like I don't know, when and wait till you get to the scene, Amanda. I mean, my goodness. I mean, he's just like, it's very violent, but it's
Like
very
an Owen
attractive.
kiss?
Oh,
Like an Owen kiss?
I don't know what that
kiss
means.
Owen, Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay. No, the kiss isn't aggressive or violent or whatever. I know what you mean now. Okay. No, but like his scene is very violent. And then like
Oh,
she's
okay,
kind of in
okay.
the background. And I remember the first time I watched it, I said out loud, "Oh my God, that was hot." And then Melissa says those exact words and goes up and kisses him. And I was like, yes, girl, get your man. That's exactly what I would have done. because it's hot. Because like we've said before, Daddy Argent gets hotter as the seasons go on. So by the time we get to season 6, I mean, he's absolutely delicious.
Yeah. I mean, that's the terminology I would use, but yes.
The terminology I would use. He's delicious.
He is my favorite on the show. Just because of that. I mean, not just because of that. I think
well,
it's
he's
cool.
not my favorite because we know that.
Obviously Styles is. But he just gets cooler too. And he's super smart. I think he has some of the biggest evolution on the show.
Absolutely. Because I did not like him at first. Like at all.
I was
really
torn there.
Honestly, this is going to sound bad. It took his wife dying because I hated her like so much.
Yeah, obviously that's the right choice.
Once she was gone, I started liking him.
See, I was conflicted because I didn't like what he was doing, but then there was his image. I'm like,
I wasn't attracted to his image at first. He needed that facial hair and that little bit of gruff for me to be like, oh, okay.
Okay.
I see you, Daddy Argent. I see you.
What I wish that we would have gotten in 6B was a little more definitive of what the relationship was, because there was a scene when he was going outside and it looked like he was about to cry, like he was torn up about something.
Yeah.
And then she grabbed his hand and like pulled him back in, like, what are you two right now?
Yeah.
And like, I want them to be a couple, but it was never made explicitly clear in the end what they were or what we could expect. Like there's no indication whatsoever. Like there were for the other characters, not for them.
Yeah. There's not a lot of communication sometimes on this show about like what exactly is going on. They just want us to guess.
I love the interview with I think it's with Shelley Hastings, Tyler Posey, and Dylan O'Brien. Shelley Henning, not Hastings. Shelley Henning. Yeah. Hastings is her name in the show. But where they were answering fan questions, and I think it was Dylan said something along the lines of, listen, we're never really sure what's going on in this show. We're confused all the time, and there's rules don't apply in Teen Wolf like they do in the real world.
I mean, I
preach.
Yep.
So another relationship that is kind of like Argent Melissa's in that it started off weird, but it like kind of evolved into actually something was Derek and Jennifer.
Yeah. And you know, I was really mad that she turned out to be the bad person. Because I was feeling it. I was really feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
I was upset.
She made Derek smile.
Yes. I mean, a lot. There's one scene, it stands out in my mind, is when he goes to visit her at the school, like before she's getting ready to slaughter a teacher, which, you know, we don't know yet, which is crazy. But like when they meet out there in that little alleyway or whatever, and I mean, they're so cute together. He's smiling, like, which never happens, like ever. And I don't know. He was like, well, you could just go with me. I mean, like, he's really being flirty and being cute with her. Even when he goes to see her that first time after he rescued her and to introduce himself, he's kind of being kind of flirty. And we don't see Derek be flirty ever. Like even with Brayden.
Except for with his very, very first one.
Right. Because even with Brayden, even though I like that relationship, we didn't really see much of a flirty side of Derek. And I like a flirty Tyler Hoechlin, like a lot.
And I think the reason why is because the two relationships he had where he was like that ended terribly.
Yeah.
So terribly.
He didn't have the best track record.
His first girl dies in his arms. And the second one turns out to be an insane villain.
Yep. Which what's so funny is I think she cared for him though. I do.
I mean, in a twist, as much as she was capable of doing.
Yeah. Because I mean, her story is sad, even though she's awful and does some really terrible stuff. Her story's sad, and so I mean, I feel for her, you know.
And she'd kill him in a hot second if it meant saving herself.
Oh yeah,
convince herself it was love.
Definitely,
she was crazy. But I think like with her, I picked up on something with her that it was wrong. I was like, oh, she's gonna be a bad person. But then she started with Derek, and I was like, oh, maybe she's not a bad person. Look how nice she is with him. I think we've covered most of the couples. Yes, there's probably one or two here or there that are honorable mentions of the list. So what we want to do is we want to tell you our top 5 favorites, our overall ranking for them. And some of them might be the same. So Amanda is a good student and has hers done.
I have mine done too.
Okay, well, don't outright call me out like that, guys.
I had mine done before we started the podcast.
Okay.
I will go
Good
first,
two shoes.
but you guys have to keep in mind that I did this list because I haven't finished yet.
That's true. Okay.
So it could change for me, for everybody listening out there. But for right now, should I go 5 to 1?
Worst to best, yes.
Worst? Well, none of
I
it's
just said
worst.
yes.
Yes. So number 5 for me. Look, I'm already changing it. No, I'm going. Number 5 for me is going to be Scott and Allison. I liked season 1 Scott and Allison, and I'm not good, but that could easily be bumped. So number 4 is going to be Liam and Hayden.
Okay.
They make me laugh. I like them. Number 3. Sorry. Number 3 is going to be Styles and Lydia.
I'm offended.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm sorry, but I'm really I'm not all the way there yet.
That's true. You have.
But they've been playing too much. It's making me lose interest.
Come back. We want to know after you finish season 6 if this changes, because I think it will.
And it could. I changed my mind a lot. Number 2 is going to be Scott and Kira.
Okay.
And number 1 right now is going to be Styles and Malia.
Okay.
I mean, that's not a bad number 1. That's not a bad way to go.
No, it's not. That's not. All right. My top 5. Number 5 is Melissa and Daddy Argent. Number 4 is Allison and Isaac, even though.
Number 3.
My number 3 is Scott and Kira. Number 2 is Styles and Aaliyah. Number 1, Styles and Lydia.
Ours is not very different.
What's yours?
My number 5 is Lydia and Parrish.
Okay. They were 6 on my list. Like if we went to 6.
Technically, it is 6 because I have 6 couples on my list. Just one's a tie. So technically,
Well, okay.
they are 6. Liam and Hayden is my number 4.
Okay.
And then Chris and Melissa are tied with Scott and Kira for me for number 3.
Okay.
Okay.
And then number 2 is Styles and Malia. Number 1 is Styles and Lydia. Because I almost had those 2 tied because I could not. But I want to see Styles and Lydia more than I want to see Styles and Malia.
Yeah.
So that's why I got to go back.
It depends on, like right now, I almost put Styles and Malia ahead of them just because I'm on season 3 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like the second half. So I'm like, it goes back and forth.
So those are our top 5. I don't know if you guys agree. Maybe is there a couple we didn't put on the list that you guys want to see or that you're like, hey, what's the matter with you? Why didn't you put them on there? Let us know. These are just the ones that we think are the most prominent in the show, and that's why we put them on here. The honorable mentions were only honorable mentions if they were very, very short, if they were near the end of the show, so we got like only an episode or 2 with them in it. That's how we define an honorable mention, or ones that were not real relationships. Like Derek and Jennifer weren't necessarily a real relationship because she was hiding who she was all the time. So that's how you got into an honorable mention. The others are just ones that were the most prominent in the show, the main character relationships. So if we forgot one, let us know. If you don't agree with our lists, let us know that. Hit back at us. So if you guys want to find us on Facebook, all you have to do is search in Facebook for Family Fan Club. All 15. Yeah, I said 15 of our groups are going to pop up for you. You want a specific group, you can always go check out our podcast pages. We will have our groups listed in there. And you can find us on any of our social media, which is Twitter and Instagram and TikTok as Fandom Family Chats. And we are constantly trying to get you fun content. Jeanette is our TikTok wizard, trying to get you fun videos there. Usually has a lot of dudes on there. So there's that for you. We have our Twitter and Instagram is not as active as we'd like it to be, and we're working on that. But still, if you have any questions for us, if you want to get involved with what we're doing, if you want to know more about what we do, or maybe some interviews we have coming down the pike, you can hit us up on any of those resources, or you can email us at familyfanclub2021@gmail.com. We check that almost religiously. So reach out to us there and we'll get back to you. Watch out for our website coming soon. We're going to have some merch available for you if you'd like to wear some of our show merchandise for family fan clubs and Fandom Family Chats, as well as we're going to make some FFC merch for some of the shows we run, like Teen Wolf or Vampire Diaries. We're going to have some fun things for you there. So watch out for that. Keep an eye out for that. And if you are able to, look at our YouTube page, subscribe to that, and keep an eye on our Facebook page. We have Fandom Family Chats. We're going to be making some announcements here in the near future about a big, huge event we've got coming down the pike in June of 2023. So, watch out for that. Get ready to listen to some crazy stuff next week again, and we'll see you real soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.